Hello, I have read the book Let Me Sing Your Gentle Songs, which is a book written by the Swedish author Linda Olsen, and it has been translated into an English version. And the book is about two women. It's about the old lady Astrid, who has lived her whole life in the same village, in the same house, but then suddenly she gets a new neighbor, the 30-year-old Veronica, who moves in next to her. She has rented the house with plans of finishing writing a novel. In common to these two women are that they are both affected by grief, but somehow an unusual friendship starts to blossom between them. And the story is composed so that it consists of different parts. It changes between Veronica's point of view and then Astrid's point of view. And it's written from an omniscient third-person narrator, and it also is characterized by flashbacks. There are these flashbacks when the women tell about their past. And then I'd like to make a characterization of the first main character, who's Astrid. She is decades older than Veronica. She's nearly 80 years old, and she has these old woman hands and a translucent papery skin, thin old grey hair, and she's pale by look. Also, she's characterized by these very bright cornflower blue eyes, which is mentioned plenty of times in the book when Veronica is describing Astrid's look. On the inside, there's this quote that describes Astrid in the prologue of the book, and it says that it has been night ever since the white night swallowed us. And this is a reference back to the very tragic past that Astrid has had. She didn't have a happy childhood. She had an abusive dad, and her beloved mother committed suicide. Also, she had a miserable marriage. She didn't marry a man she loved, but she was unhappy for many years. That's also why she's very reticent. She has no interest in other people's life or secrets, and she's a woman who keeps to herself. She is described as a doll in a dollhouse and the village witch. She has not had any emotional presence for a long time, and she has just lived her whole life alone in the village ever since her man abandoned her. She has a lot of memories from her childhood, but she hasn't had anyone to tell them to, which is why Veronica is a great help to her, because she finally gets someone to talk to. Astrid is also a round character. She begins to feel pleased by having Veronica, even though she has to get used to it in the start, because she has felt so alone for such a long time. She's very shy in the beginning, but then she opens up and she gets used to Veronica's company, and being with her offers her the peace of mind that she needs. On the other hand, we have Veronica, who is kind of a contrast to Astrid. She's a small younger woman. She's about 30 years old, and she has this dark hair and dark eyes. Veronica has traveled the world around with her father. She has had a lot of life experiences and a very close relationship to her father. But now her father has built a new life in Japan, and she feels abandoned. She herself chose to go to New Zealand with a man she thought was the love of her life, but he died in a surfer accident out on the water while she was carrying his child. She both lost him and the child, and that's the reason why she has come to Sweden, to the little village, to recover and to somehow find peace. She also mentions that time has stopped for her, and she no longer feels like she's actually living, so she's trying to continue finding happiness and finding a way to keep on living her life. And she's also a round character. She is in the beginning in sorrow, and she feels very sad and alone, but suddenly she can relate to Astrid, and this helps her find the beauty in the world outside that she had lost. And then I'd like to tell a bit about the setting. First, the physical setting. It's described as a hillside overlooking a mountain town in Sweden. And when Veronica arrives in March, there are still signs of winter. There's this soft whiteness over the landscape, and the mountains are polished by ice and wind, and there are these slow-moving rivers and still lakes. But when the seasons change and it becomes summer, there is these wild woods and golden water in the river, and there are lots of wild berries, and these mountains somehow seem to surround them. Also, there are Astrid and Veronica's houses. These are the only two on the mountain hill, and they're built in the same way. There are these two-story buildings, pale grey, almost blending into the sky. And the social setting, the houses are like silent shadows. Also, Veronica mentions when she arrives to the place that it feels like a world of absolute silence. The atmosphere is very cold and unpleasant in the beginning, but as it becomes summer, it turns out to be a safe place where no one else can reach them because they're so isolated and they feel protected by the woods and the mountains. Also, this is one of the symbols in the book. The houses are symbols of the two women. They're cold and pale on the outside, but warm and light inside of them. They contain a lot of feelings and a lot of history and memories, but it's not visible to those who only look on the outside. They need to be told the stories to actually understand what's inside of them. Another symbol is the Swedish landscape, which is also a powerful presence in the book. It measures the progress of the women's relationship. As the icy winter and bare trees give way to spring and summer, women's relationship deepen. So the seasons are also a symbol of the women's relationship. Also, Astrid and Veronica each carry a symbol. Astrid has this scar on her left ring finger, where there is this visible mark after a wedding ring, which is a symbol of this unhappy marriage that she can't really escape and will always be a part of her, even though she wants to let go of it. And Veronica, she has this key ring with two keys. One is old and heavy and blackened, and that's a symbol of Astrid as the older one, and the other one is shiny and new and modern, and that's a symbol of Veronica bringing this new life into Astrid's. And now to interpretation and theme. The text is about these two women who are helping each other through terrible losses merely by being present to one another. Through a big part of the book, they're just doing these ordinary things as going for walks, eating dinner together, picking wild berries, and take swims in the lakes. But these are just the things that they need to do to somehow keep on living their lives. Astrid needed someone to breathe life into her house and make her forget about her solitary life, and the house of Astrid's were the answer to what Veronica might needed. It was a home and a place to leave and come back to. Also, an important theme in this book is to accept your circumstances and to somehow find happiness even though it sometimes might not look this good. Also, you need to remember that you can never forget all the love that you had inside of you because it can never leave you. It will always be inside of you.